Buyoya mama, buyoya mama, buyoya mama. You're singing about me. What is this supposed to be a pun? To put fish next to me? Because you can fry fish on a pan. Twalipalivu mwana bakwareso omuntu kutusha. Tiwafwira panchito yabene wemwaichi. How does this go, girl? Yo kale. Hola, hola, hola. I still remember that. Welcome to Zambia. What a day. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. We haven't done this in a while, but also it's our first episode of 2025, and we're going to have a lot more episodes in 2025. We will be giving you highlights of some of the things that are happening in the country, and I'm very glad to be back here to be doing this. I know a lot of people have been asking questions, but we took a break. You know, you have to detox. It's one of the terrible things that happens at the end of the year, how tired you get, and there's just so much to do. So you kind of have to reorganize and then come back better, stronger, and energized. That's kind of what the idea is. But anyway, welcome to Zambia. What a day. My name is Dingindaba Jonah Buyoya. I'm your host on this podcast. What do we do here? Well, we give you highlights of some of these stories that are making news, just, much quicker, and a bit of context and analysis. One of the goals this year is to also talk to a lot more people on the podcast. We did try to do that last year. And a couple of times that we did it, I think it went well, didn't it? Yeah, I think it went well. What's coming up on the show today? Well, we are going to start with the by-elections, but also yesterday, Krazy was put to rest, so that's going to be coming up. There's a very sad story where a man in Nakonde lost his hand because of a work accident, so we'll be getting into that and giving you those details. And further than that, we are also going to talk a lot about there's a lot going on now with the Electoral Commission of Zambia, the elections that are coming up. And we are also going to talk about the fact that there is an issue around cholera and the cleanliness in the city. So we're going to talk about that as well on the podcast. But let's start off, first of all, with government making a commitment to ensuring that there is law and order during by-elections. So the government is pledging to uphold law and order during the upcoming parliamentary by-elections in Pambashi and Petauke constituencies, as well as in other wards where elections are going to take place. Let's take a look at this.
The Zambia Police Service has never been involved in crime with the UPND. There has never been any report of any collusion between Zambia Police and UPND pertaining to committing crime. Government will not sit idle and allow groups or individuals to undermine the peace and stability that Zambia is enjoying under the new Dawn administration. By issuing reckless and insightful statements meant to cause instability in the country. We hereby reaffirm the Zambia Police Service's strong caution against actions that may incite violence or breach of public peace. Government, therefore, encourages all political players in the areas where by-elections are taking place to report incidents of actual or proposed violence at the nearest police stations. As you are aware, members of the press, fellow countrymen and women, the nominations will be taking place tomorrow in these two parliamentary by-elections. We as government, and in particular the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security, that is supposed to be providing law and order in this country will be there.
So, you know, the only problem that comes along with such a statement from government is that I'm trying to make these things work. The headphones. Okay, I think we're good. So, what I'm saying is, one of the things I find interesting about such statements from the government about maintaining law and order during by elections is that sometimes it means that they are going to fix their opponents, right? It can mean that they're going to maintain law and order, but it can also mean that they will teach their opponents a lesson. Why would that be something to think of? You know, why is your instinct that way? It's because it's happened before. You know, it's happened before, and not once, not twice, but a couple of times where you know, political parties kind of abuse their authority, and when they do, they make their opponents suffer during that period. So we just hope that that's not what that means, because you know, it's a free and fair country, and everybody must enjoy, you know, their rights. You know, access to people. They must always have that benefit. There's a man in Nakonde. Who lost his hand in a workplace accident at an iron sheet manufacturing company. Oh. So he placed his hand on the machine, allegedly. And what's more disheartening about all of this is his age. I mean, he's only 26 years old. He's very young. He's very young, and he was a general worker there, and his hand got trapped in there, and it got severely injured, and very, very, very unfortunate situation. This is. I mean, I can't just help but think about how his future has been altered by this development, because 26, 26. I mean, he was just getting to start with his work. He's got, 25, 30 more years of working, and now it's not the end of the world, obviously, but it's going to be much, much harder for him to be able to do his work now that he's been used to having a hand, and it's been cut off because of this accident. So he has to relearn life, you know. Also, I talk about how he's very young at the age of 26, but also living for 26 years with a specific routine, and now you have to relearn. That's how cruel life can be sometimes. That's one of the unpredictable things about life, and I always talk about how scary it is that life is so unpredictable. We wish him well, and a very quick recovery, I must add, and a recovery that is beyond just his physical healing, but his mental well-being as well. That kind of shift requires a lot of mental strength for you to be able to overcome and adjust yourself to suit what is presently happening in your life. So it's a very, very unfortunate situation that this is happening to him, and we hope that he has a strong support system around him that's helping him navigate all of this, and just a stark reminder about how unpredictable life is and how life can change instantly. One of the things also, before I move on to the next story, that this reminds me of is what the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities always say. They always say that any one of us can have a disability. You may not have one now, but there's a huge possibility that you may have one in your lifetime. You may end your life without having one, but it may just as well be possible for you to reach a certain stage of your life that you have a disability. And that's just the reality of life, isn't it? We talked about elections before, and we're just going to come back to the elections because the Electoral Commission of Zambia is urging the Zambia Police Service to maintain professionalism ahead of the nominations for by-elections in Petauke, Pambashe, Mongu, and Mpongwe districts. The chairperson of the Electoral Commission of Zambia, Zalumis Mwangala, emphasized the importance of policing elections to ensure fair, free, and transparent democratic processes. Let's take a look at this.
As Zambia prepares for crucial by-elections in Petauke, Pembashe, Mongo, and Mpongwe districts, the Electoral Commission of Zambia is calling for common professionalism. After a series of meetings with the primary stakeholders in the democratic process, today the Commission engaged the uniformed staff, the Zambia Police Service, ECZ emphasized the importance of maintaining peace and transparency during the electoral process.
You need to ensure public order and protect every citizen's right to engage in the electoral process without fear or intimidation. As you manage the nomination center and survey Petauke Central Constituency and surrounding areas, you must stand ready for any challenges that may arise, while you exercise maximum professionalism and commitment.
ECZ Commissioner Major General Vincent Mukanda reminded the police of concerns raised by political stakeholders regarding biased policing during elections.
So we want to demand that as individuals, as groups, your discipline must be exemplary. It was only yesterday that we were talking to the political parties, and the chair just wants to share with our uniformed staff one of their concerns. And their concern is that whenever we are carrying out our duties, we don't seem to be that fair. There are times when an infraction is being witnessed by yourselves and you stand and not do anything. So remember where I've come from, that you must be able to create that environment which everyone must feel free, to go about their business in the electoral process. But the bottom line in all this is that I think be firm but fair.
In Wapla Province, the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, has engaged with the police as well, emphasizing the need for fair application of the law.
The same vigilance that you demonstrated during the district chairpersons and Kawambwa Central Parliamentary by-elections respectively should be exhibited for Pambashe also. As officers or uniformed officers, you need to ensure public order, which is something that we cannot emphasize on because it's your constitutional mandate. Public order, protect every citizen's right to engage in the electoral process without fear or intimidation. As you manage the nomination center tomorrow and survey Pambashe constituents and surrounding areas, you must stand ready for any challenges that may arise.
Meanwhile, the ruling United Party for National Development has adopted Severiano Lungu as its candidate for the Petauke Central Parliamentary by-election and Justin Kapema for the Pembashe constituency. This was announced by party chairman for elections Galing Kombo at the UPND Secretariat in Lusaka.
The National Management Committee has settled for Mr. Justin Kapema to be the candidate for Pambashe constituency in the election of 6th of February. In the case of Petauke Central, again we had 8 candidates, a total of 8 candidates, and of the 8 candidates we went through the same process, and the name that is going to carry the UPND flag is person who responds to a name Severiano Lungu. Severiano Lungu.
And Citizens First Party spokesperson Daliso Tembo has revealed that in consultation with the United Kwacha Alliance UKA Council of Presidents, the party has adopted Carlos Chama as its candidate for the Petauke Central Parliamentary seat and Ezekiel Kayumba for Pembashe constituency. The 2 parliamentary by-elections are scheduled for February 6, 2025. Other political parties are yet to unveil their candidates for these parliamentary by-elections. Samuel Sylvester Kwawe, Diamond News, Eastern Zambia.
I know that there's a new leadership at the Electoral Commission of Zambia, but the Electoral Commission of Zambia has got one point where they've let me down as a citizen of this country, and this point is Kawambwa constituency. I've been talking about this for a while, and I'm talking about it for the first time on Zambia What a Day, and line of thought is the Electoral Commission of Zambia was presiding over the Kawambwa election in 2021. It is at the Kawambwa election in 2021 that there was malicious damage to property, which has resulted in a by-election that we saw in Kawambwa. There is also a by-election in Pambashe. Now, the by-election in Kawambwa, if you ask me, shouldn't have happened, because in 2021, when there was malicious damage to property by one of the candidates who eventually won the election, the Electoral Commission of Zambia should have put their foot down and should have done what the Electoral Court requires. If somebody breaches the Electoral Court to the extent of political violence that involves malicious damage to property and now they've been convicted, that person must be disqualified from the election, or at least any action must be taken. There was no action by the Electoral Commission of Zambia in 2021. So think about this. Because the Kawambwa by-election was because of an electoral malpractice. It's just that these people were convicted of malicious damage to property, but malicious damage to property in 2024 because of an electoral malpractice that happened in 2021. So look at this. The Electoral Commission of Zambia failed to manage the election in 2021. Why do I say they failed? Because there was electoral malpractice. How do we know? Somebody was convicted last year of electoral malpractice because of malicious damage to property. So they failed to manage the election in 2021, and they again managed the by-election in 2024. So they are managing a by-election that was caused by them, effectively. Because if they managed it in 2021, that person would have never been declared a winner. It's either fresh nominations would have happened, and we would have never needed a by-election, because if fresh nominations had happened, he wouldn't have been on the ballot because he would have been disqualified. And so it's these little things that require a lot of deliberate measures by the Electoral Commission of Zambia, and consistency, and also making sure that they are above board. The fact that it had to take the court, and this, we just look at it as him going to jail because the court has convicted him. No, he's gone to jail because of an electoral malpractice. That is what it was, an electoral malpractice that should have been called out when it happened in 2021. So every time I hear the Electoral Commission of Zambia talking about free, fair elections, I think these are some of the things they need to consider. They need to be much more brave when it comes to taking some of these harsh decisions that should put a stop to political. It's very primitive, and I've seen it in some parts of the world coming back, but we have been a good example, and we need to continue being a good example, but further by the Electoral Commission of Zambia standing firm and making sure that they are unmovable. And that's what we hope to see in the upcoming elections. That's what we hope to see in the big one we have next year. So it's all eyes on them. One of the saddest moments of 2024 is starting it by losing one of the biggest names in Zambian music. The late Zambian musician Wesley Chibambo, who we very well know as Dandy Krazy, was put to rest yesterday at the Memorial Park. His children made a very, very emotional statement. His oldest daughter describing him as a loving father, best friend and confidant during a farewell, but also one of his daughters talking about how her birthday is now remembered as his death day because he died on her birthday. And that was very emotional because that's something you can never change. And she's very young, right? Very, very young. So it's something that she's going to have to live with for the rest of her life. That every time she has to celebrate her birthday, she has to remember her father, who is no more. And so I guess it's also just how she's going to, curate the celebration around that part of her life, if she's going to celebrate him. But we will say that as let's celebrate the life, because it's not so close to any of us. We love Dandy Krazy and we loved his music, but we will never know what it's like being his friend or his family. But let's just take a look at these highlights from yesterday's funeral.
A befitting send-off for a king. That's how fans and loved ones describe the funeral service of King Dandy Krazy held today at Lusaka's showgrounds. Cheers erupted and his iconic music reverberated through the speakers, creating an atmosphere that celebrated the life and legacy of the late Zambian musician. For his family, wife and children, he was more than a star. He was a hero whose absence will forever be felt.
Daddy, you were my best friend. Someone I always felt free talking to and freely confiding in. You always came in and supported me through everything, scolded me whenever I went wrong, and saw love in everything because you needed to see the best out of your kids.
To me, you were a gentle rock, always there when I needed you, always supporting me and encouraging me to be the best version of myself. Your love and warmth crafted a safe space, one that I'll hold close forever. The stage was your home, and the world was your audience, and to me, you were simply my love. The quiet moments we shared, the laughter, the late night conversations, and the comfort of knowing you were beside me are the moments I'll hold dear in my heart forever.
He was also a celebrated comedian, bringing joy and laughter to many through his performance. Wesley was a family man.
Fellow musician and pastor B.J. Ngosa offered words of comfort to the Chibambo family.
We stopped buying the coffins, the caskets, the burial sites, and begin to put money into the children's school fees. I just lost my wife a year or two ago, and I know the pain that this girl is going to go through.
And in a rare display of unity, politicians from opposing sides stood together today honoring the artist.
His passing away has created a profound void in our lives, one that is felt deeply across our community. Dandy Krazy was a guiding light in the world of creative arts. And I should emphasize, we are here to mourn an artist. We are not here to mourn a politician. We are here to mourn an artist. And as government, we have an obligation to make sure that we mourn with the artists. The more reason government is here and we are present with you here.
King Dandy touched many lives. This is the reason why his funeral has been graced by Zambian government officials on behalf of all the Zambian people. Dandy was indeed a source of joy for many Zambians. That is also the reason why so many Zambians have been mourning him since his passing. Notwithstanding the fact that he was attacked at the Heroes Stadium not too long ago, the people who have turned out here to bid him farewell are much more than those who attacked him.
The funeral served as a moving tribute to Dandy Krazy's life and career, with heartfelt messages pouring in from across the nation, celebrating his immense contribution to the music industry and his vibrant spirit. Elfie Mwale Champande, Diamond News.
I found him especially interesting because of how relatable the guy was. But one of the things that I've been thinking about lately since his demise is beyond just how relatable he was. I actually think he was a very smart guy. He was actually very smart, and you could tell from the way he thought. He was very smart. It's just that majority of the times we have this orthodox way of thinking what smart is, right? We've got a specific way of how we think smart is. And it reminds me of one time, a friend of mine, we were sitting and I quoted a rapper. And I said, no, I mean, look at this rapper. I'm not going to say who it is. I said, look at this rapper and what he said. I think this is what we should put in mind. And my friend said, why would you quote a rapper? And I said, because he's wise, you know. And when I think about it, that's kind of how society has been curated, that we believe we can't get wisdom or intelligence from a certain section of society. How people have always thought that footballers are on the lower end, of intelligence, simply because a lot of them are talent that didn't want to pursue tertiary education or didn't have the opportunity at that to pursue tertiary education. So there's a certain perspective that people have, even of rappers, even of musicians, even of journalists, even of anybody really that is doing sort of unorthodox kind of work. So I've listened to a lot of his stuff now, and I think he was really, really smart, very, very smart guy. But I think also very talented, because his kind of music was very unorthodox. And I saw somebody say that Dandy Krazy was part of the reason why people no longer just thought you needed to have a great voice for you to be able to sing. And because his voice was different. It wasn't, whoa, anyway, I can't sing, but it was, and I can see it now, right? Like he started some sort of revolution. You have the Chandana K's, Chanda from Chandana K is the one who's got the, and then you've got Y Celeb, but you've also got Blood Kid, and many others. 4 Now 5, they sound the same. There's another group, Dope Boys, also sound pretty similar. So you can see where it's coming from. That and that explains why he's so celebrated back there. His daughter yesterday said, I'm trying to remember what she said. She's the firstborn, and I was very moved by how considerate she was for her mother. She said it was very tough for her mother, but she was also making a commitment yesterday that she was going to support her mother in helping to curate a conducive environment for her siblings as well, and help them grow and support the family. I thought that was very, very good, and I think and she said on the stage, I cannot begin to imagine what my mom is feeling, and I think that's very wise for such a young person, right? Because all of us are sad, right, that Dandy Krazy is dead. But none of us can really know what it's like to lose him as a partner. None of us can really know what it's like to lose him as a father, to lose him as a brother, to lose him as a friend, a close friend. So we can feel what we're feeling, but we can never know what it's like to feel what those people are feeling, especially like today when everybody else has gone back to their lives. People have gone back to work. Maybe not everybody, but by the end of this week, probably everybody would have gone back to their homes and focusing on their life. And this is where the healing process begins, because it's a very long and inconsistent journey. I spent a lot of time talking about this because I have to personally say that Dandy Krazy was a great friend of Diamond. A great friend of Diamond. When we came to realize this is when he died, and we had so many interviews with him that a lot of the viral interviews on the internet at the moment are Diamond TV interviews that he did on our various shows. He always used to show up, and we always used to want to support his music every opportunity that we got. And it was incredible how he appreciated that. And we'll definitely remember him. My favorite song, it's good that you ask that, but there's a song by Dandy Krazy, he was singing about me, and he said, Buyoya mama, Buyoya mama, Buyoya mama. He was singing about me. No fact checking. It was about me. Anyway, we will remember Dandy Krazy. His music lives on, and he's left us enough stories to live a lifetime. And finally, there's a lot of ECZ today. The Electoral Commission of Zambia Vice Chairperson Alice Mwinga has praised law enforcement agencies for their professionalism and critical role in ensuring peace and security as preparations for the Mpongwe by-election progress. Let's quickly take a look at this.
As a nomination day for the Mpongwe by-election draws are near, the Electoral Commission of Zambia is intensifying its engagement with stakeholders to ensure a smooth and transparent process.
Come back to you once again, man, to ask for your hand, because we are about to conduct another by-election in this area in the Tanda ward. And once again, Mani, we are calling upon you to help us police this by-election.
Law enforcement officers are also gearing up to provide security during the by-election. Their professionalism and dedication will be critical in maintaining peace and order.
Mpongwe is a productive district, as we know, and therefore the people of Mpongwe deserve a very, very peaceful election. It is for this reason that the Commission appeals to you, our esteemed officers, not to relent on your dedication, professionalism, and commitment to duty, as you have done in the past, to ensure an incident-free and fair election.
As candidates and their supporters make final preparations for nominations, the ECZ is reminding all stakeholders of the importance of adhering to the electoral rules and regulations.
As police officers, you need to ensure what is obviously your mandate, which is public order, and protect every citizen's right to engage in the electoral process without fear or intimidation. And as you manage the nomination center tomorrow, you must stand ready for any challenges that may arise.
With the nominations set for tomorrow, 7th January 2025, for the Ndola by-election, the ECZ continuous engagement with the stakeholders is testament to its commitment to delivering a free, fair and peaceful by-election in Mpongwe. Love Mosondash for Diamond News.
All right, we are going to be very busy over the next couple of weeks because of the by-elections that are there. If you ask me, way too many of them, and they just speak to a need to change our legislation that shouldn't require us to go to an election every time somebody dies, every time somebody is arrested. We need to find a better way of dealing with all of this. And one of the solutions, I know we've been flirting with it, is mixed proportional representation, because when somebody is out of parliament, the political party just brings in somebody else. And I don't know if the Zambian electoral system or if the political system is strong enough to do that, because that means that you can easily be fired as a member of parliament. But and we know how crazy that can get. Imagine you're a PF member of parliament and there's like 15 patriotic front leaders right now, or 1,500 patriotic front leaders right now, and you belong to the president who has the least influence. So I don't know how strong our system would be to make that work. But anyway, it'll be an idea to consider. All we're trying to say is these by-elections are incredibly expensive. I also don't agree that the second best should automatically become member of parliament, because you were second best because we didn't vote for you. So that's why I also don't agree with a coalition government. I'm one of the people who strongly are against a coalition government where all the losing parties come together and form a government. People didn't vote for you. You are basically negotiating your way to power, and I don't think that should be the case, where you negotiate behind a closed door and agree as losers to become the winners who represent the majority. Because it's possible that if there's two political parties, blue and pink, if I vote for blue, it means I don't want pink. Now, if blue and pink start working together, I've put in government people I didn't vote for. And I don't think that's fair. Anyway, thank you so much for watching Zambia What a Day. We're back in business. Oh. We are not leaving, oh. Yeah, no, that's, yeah. Is that a good Nigerian accent?
No, it's not. It's horrible.
Is that a good Nigerian? Oh, my goodness.
No, I think stop while you're ahead.
I should stop it. Is that a good...
No.
Okay.
That's Americans' depiction of what an African accent is.
That's Americans saying I'm Wakanda. Anyway, thank you so much for watching Zambia What a Day. My name is Dingindaba Jonah Buyoya. And yes, what a day.